Have with us today, and I'm actually really excited about this. We have Mr. Al Bennett. So, Al, thank you, my friend,
Yeah, of course.
for jumping on. So, a couple things before we dive in and pick Al's brain here. Alex and Reef and everybody, can you believe that right now, today, as we sit here, it's been basically exactly 1 year. I say basically because tomorrow is officially the full 12-month calendar day event, but it's been 1 year since we've launched this webinar series. We are over, gosh, Alex, last count, we were well over 3,000 in total attendees for our webinar.
That is correct. We have had quite a few, and we keep building higher and higher. That also doesn't include those fellows and ladies listening in on LinkedIn Live. So
Right.
if you are on LinkedIn, hello, you can post
Full
questions in
12-month
the chat. I'm
day
monitoring
event, but
that
it's been
as well. So quite a few people, Tim, have been really interested in joining us, and I thank you all for joining us today.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And so, okay, now to the topic at hand, figure the HELOC. Most of you might know that I love leaning heavily into the process much more than just the product. And the process is truly what the magic is, what we have going on with the lead portal and inquiry tool. And I'll set the stage with our guest here, Al, and back up in time a little bit. Al works with West Capital, by far our largest partner, and they do a great job on this, which we're anxious to hear from Al how that's going for him. But I first started my relationship with this team about a year and a half ago. Can you believe it's been that long, Al?
Yeah.
It's been a minute, right?
Yeah, it
And
has.
yeah, and we've learned a ton. In fact, we learn a ton from a lot of our partners, but just based on sheer volume, we've really learned a lot from your team, Al. It's kind of fun to go back in time and realize that Reef used to be part of our customer experience team and CSAs and has come up through the ranks. And he used to work with Al quite a bit and help Al on different transactions and stuff. And now here we are, all on the same call. So, Al, one, congratulations on your success. I'd love to hear from you, kind of your use cases. How are you approaching when to or when not to dive in and see as a HELOC an answer for one of your clients?
Yeah, I mean, interesting question. I actually answer this a lot on my social media. If you guys don't follow me, go ahead and follow me, Uncle Mortgage on Instagram. But really what it just comes down to is just doing genuinely what's the right thing to do for clients. Obviously, 2020, 2021, interest rates were, I mean, as low as they've ever been. So we're finding, what I'm finding, what pretty much all of WestCap is finding is clients that have, you know, 3.5% interest rates on their mortgage. You know, they might have a $400,000 mortgage, but they might have $100,000 in unsecured credit card debt. That's a very common situation that we come across. In which case, in that type of situation, 400,000 on the mortgage, you know, $100,000, so to speak, in unsecured credit card debt, the right thing to do would be a HELOC. Obviously, the HELOC is going to bail them out of that compounding interest credit card debt. At the same time, it's going to put them in a situation where eliminating that credit card debt is going to help their credit score. More than likely, it's going to put them in a situation where they're going to benefit from a lower payment, which is going to help their cash flow. So at the end of the day, it's just kind of identifying the client that fits into that box, which a lot of people do. A lot of people haven't really adjusted for inflation. Things are a lot more expensive than they used to be. So even though these people have these 3-4% mortgages, you know, they're struggling in other aspects of life.
So I love what you just said there, Al. So using that example, that homeowner that, let's say, they bought 4+ years ago, right, in that realm of that fantasy land we all lived in for a brief minute of 3% mortgages, right?
Yeah.
When you're speaking with that borrower, do you look at a cash out transaction and then compare it to what it would look like to just adding a HELOC? In other words, what is your strategy there? Or do you just automatically say, nope, this is it, a HELOC is your answer?
That's a good question. So honestly, I mean, you might not want to hear this, but we're more, I mean, we're more profitable doing first mortgages. I'm just going to call it what it
Sure,
is.
of
So,
course.
um, obviously, from management, you always want to look for the cash out refi. So it's just, loan officer sales 101. You always want to go in there. You want to pull the credit. You want to look at their liabilities. But at the end of the day, you want to do what's right. So I'm not going to personally, I'm not going to sell someone a cash out refinance if a home equity line of credit makes sense. I do go in there with blinders on, meaning I do go in there just, hey, let's review your credit. Let's see where you're at first. I do
Right.
that.
Yeah.
Sometimes if I do get some pushback, I'll just defer to the home equity line of credit, the figure loan, but I do go in trying to get the cash out refinance first.
Yeah, I actually love that because it's very much in my originator days, which wasn't that long ago. I would very much do the same thing. Al, if I was talking with that client, I might say, okay, I'm going to go in and I'll price out or take a look at that cash out. Well, what we quickly discover, even with rates having improved a little bit this year, what we quickly discover is because of the loan level price adjustments, that cash out refinance, it takes a borrower from a 3 to, let's say, a 7.5. And I'm just picking some numbers here. Well, what I love comparing to that is, okay, well, let's keep your 3, let's add the line of credit, and the blended rate is in the 5s. And that is, to me, it makes it a no-brainer, but I've always said it's not up to me to decide. It's just up to me to present the borrower with their options and what their strategy is so that they can make an educated decision as to what's best for them. So I
Yeah,
love that you're doing that.
yeah, and exactly, and honestly, it is a lot of times a no-brainer. I'm telling you, the figure loan is it's a very easy loan to sell. It's not hard. It's like they in at Westcap they call it you're taking the easy way out.
Right. I love
Seriously.
that. You're taking, oh, you're that
Yeah.
guy, huh? Yeah,
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
So, you know,
That's funny. And Al, you're gonna have to keep me honest here on this number, but I came out, it's almost a year ago. I'll be back out. Actually, I'm gonna be out in your neck of the woods in your office next week, actually. So it's gonna be fun to
okay.
spend some time with you guys. But about a year ago in July, if I remember right, we had a big meeting with you, with your team, and we presented you with a heavyweight belt. And I'm sure you remember that. You still post it on social media every now and again. But do you remember what your production numbers were during that 12-month period of time that led
Yeah,
up
I
to
think
that?
I don't remember the unit number, but I do remember the volume was a little bit north of 8 million.
Right. So
So,
8 million in HELOC volume alone. Yeah,
mhm.
which is just astonishing. And by the way, I haven't looked, but I bet you're on pace for more that this year. You know what I mean?
Y- Yeah, I mean, figure loans are just kind of part of the bread and butter of really what make up Westcap now. I mean, I had a guy, Dean, he might even be on the call, but he just started his first day on the phone. He subbed the loan, got notary disclosure, and I think it funded the very next day. So
Wow.
it's a really good starter for a lot of people that are just kind of getting their feet wet just in the broker world in general. But yeah, no, exciting times, great product. Um, I mean, Figure's been a godsend for a lot of us, because a lot of us, the majority of people, honestly, in this market sometimes struggle. So a Figure loan
Oh,
is a good
sure.
outlet for some people that would normally struggle.
Yeah, I had a loan originator actually once say to me regarding them and their team. They said, "Look, even for new folks coming onto his team at the time, they were like, look, this is a great way for someone even new in the industry to basically cut their teeth, right? It's a great way to get engaged with clients. It's a quick way to find out what their strategy might be. Does the HELOC work for them, and so on and so forth." And so, I love the fact that you've talked about great success. You love the product, and that's awesome. But it's not all roses and blue sky, right? I mean, Al, you've had challenges using the product and so when things like that, how best to phrase this question? How have you built your workflow to prevent some of those things as being issues? Like, as an example, there was a time some time ago where, if I remember right, even you and your team in particular were like really struggling with the borrowers uploading IDs or that type of thing. But we don't hear from you or your team on that topic anymore. So is it just the expectation you're setting of the borrower going in? What does that look like for you to kind of reduce the resistance, if you will?
So what we use a lot is we use a program called Quick Assist. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Quick Assist, but Quick Assist is built into any Windows computer. And what Quick Assist actually allows you to do is It just allows you to see what's on the client's screen, so you can kind of help and guide them through the entire process from start to finish. And
Wow.
it's very user friendly and very easy. Um, we use that. I mean, we use that,
Okay.
I'd say, yeah.
Well, I have to say, I just learned something here. I'm not aware of Quick Assist, and I will tell you that one of the biggest questions we get asked all the time is there a way for us to navigate with the borrower what they're seeing and working them through the workflow? And as you know, Al, and anyone else on the call, we don't have a mirrored effect. In other words, we don't have like a different mode where you can log in and see what the borrower is seeing at the same time.
Hmm.
But your solution for that is this Quick Assist.
Yep.
And so when you're doing the Quick Assist, are you on, you'll have to walk me through this, Al. Are you on like a video call with them, or are you just seeing what they're seeing and working right along with them?
So it's built into any Windows computer. So literally all you need to do is supply them a code. Once you supply them a code, you can see what's on their screen, and you just say, click here, click there. This is what this means. This is what that means. And it's like, I mean, 80% of
Wow.
the time we utilize Quick Assist that way, because I mean, honestly, the portal is fairly easy. Just not everybody is computer savvy. So
Sure.
um, Quick Assist, for the win for sure. Most of my team utilizes it, especially sometimes, no discrimination, but if you have older borrowers that are a little bit less computer savvy, you can kind of
Sure.
help guide them through it. So
That is a great tip right there. Alex, were you aware of that? Or Reef, did you guys heard of that before?
Yeah, and this is something where to me, Quick Assist probably is the best suggestion I've ever heard. I've used it myself before, not for the HELOC, but actually to help my grandma out with her own computer. But also right here, right? Zoom does screen sharing. This is something I recommend. Google Meet is another big one I've seen partners use. So I really encourage people, right? If you sit down, you walk them through it. We have loan officers say, hey, I just have my borrower come in. We sit down because it works on mobile. We just do it on the phone together. Like any of those options, I think work really, really well. Plus, it kind of personalizes that experience, the loan officer really helping the borrower out.
yeah,
Yeah,
and it's easy. The problem that I find with Zoom, and again, to each their own, but Zoom, sometimes clients have problems setting that up. It's like Quick Assist is easy because you just give them a code and boom, you can see what's on their screen. So
yeah, it's funny you say that, Al, because we've made that recommendation before. Like, listen, loan originators, don't be afraid. Create a Zoom meeting, have the borrower share their link. But I'll share this. This is a funny story. Just last weekend, I was helping a loan originator with that process with one of their borrowers. And the loan originator, actually, the borrower wasn't on the call. The loan originator, I said to her, in this case, I said, listen, the share screen is down at the bottom. Just drag your cursor down there. True story. The loan originator grabbed their camera and started aiming it down towards the bottom of the screen. I'm like, oh, wait. That's not what I said. So navigating some of the technology can be a real life challenge, right? So I love that solution, Al. Nicely done. Now, your team, probably for the better part of 6 months or more, transition from a figure wholesale model to a full white label model, giving you also the ability of the direct link. Are you and your team using that, Al?
absolutely. I mean, I'm a promoter, so I promote my direct link all over my website, my landing page, my Instagram, everywhere. It's everywhere. So I think that's a huge benefit. I think it's a huge win. Um, and I mean, anyone that knows me, you'll eventually you'll come across that link in some sort of advertisement.
Oh yeah, no
Just
doubt about
that
it. And
simple.
I, of
Yeah.
course, follow you on social and the platforms and whatnot, and you do a great job there. Now, I always like to lean on the fact that in your model, not everyone has that, right? We have our figure wholesale partners, then we have our figure retail partners, and it's in that retail model that has two paths. You have the direct link, which Al, you remember when you didn't have that, when you were just in
Hmm.
our wholesale channel. And then you have the inquiry tool. There's two different paths. And so how I love to encourage loan originators to use this is if you're working with a past or existing client, someone you have a relationship with, this, in my opinion, that is an inquiry tool all day long. That is you as a loan originator taking 2 minutes to quickly get your past client their answers. However, you could use that direct link like you're doing, Al, to now attract brand new clients, people you've never met or know. Does that make sense the way I've laid that out?
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
I love that use case. And by the way, I'll go as far as to say, how cool is it? And you can keep me honest here, Al. How cool is it that you might put that link out on social media, you do different print marketing and whatever the case might be, that when a borrower clicks on that link and now they're doing the application from A to Z, even if they don't receive offers, you've just obtained a new client.
Yep.
Right. And
Yep.
so do
Yep.
you find yourself in that situation where you say, okay, that didn't work, but now you see it in your pipeline and now you shift gears and come up with a different strategy?
Yeah, absolutely. I need to get better about that because we call those phantom applications where you just get people applying, you don't even know who they are. So I probably have to develop some sort of workflow for that, but I probably get 2 or 3 of those a day, a lot.
Wow.
So my link is out there, it's being promoted. It's, you know, so I do need to create some sort of funnel to follow up on those phantom applications, so to speak.
Well, sure. And I would refer to it. And by the way, kind of some interesting notes on our end. We are actually working on building, instead of in that scenario where a borrower has used the link and they've gone from A to Z on their own, in the scenario where they didn't receive any offers, I'm actually labeling it. We're working with our engineer and product team now to build what we call a soft handoff. That instead of just saying, sorry, no offers available in our platform, it would actually say, no offers available, but wait, be sure to reach out to Al because he may very well have a different option for you. You see what I mean?
I like that. I like that.
Yeah. So we're
Yeah,
working
because
on that.
because a lot of these people that don't qualify, they can qualify for something else. So it would be a good, almost in a sense, a lead generation situation in a sense to where, you know,
Yes,
something to think about.
absolutely. Now, Al, you've been with us, a partner with us long enough to have seen tons of transitions in both our process and as well, in some cases, product. We launched some months back the ability to pay off debts, both when there's offers and also as well to qualify. How's that working for you?
It's working okay. It's working okay. I can honestly say I haven't really. The benefit for me mostly isn't the debt payoff part. The benefit for me is I'll get approval sometimes if there's a ton of equity in the home and they have like a smaller second. The fact
Yep.
that I'll be approved for that is a huge win, more or less than to me, more or less than actually paying off debt, because there's a lot of people that have HELOCs that, you know, are trying to get another HELOC or whatever the case may be. But
Sure.
that automatic denial that we used to get when they just already automatically have a second, that used to be a problem. So the fact that we're able to still get approved if they do have an existing HELOC is a huge win.
Yeah, because for all of you that don't know, we will go on primary residence into third lien position. However, we have something big getting ready to hit the street that I want to run past you here, Al. You're a veteran with us, so you give us some honest feedback here.
Okay.
I have been saying for a while that I think in our market that something that needs to be dealt with sooner than later is in fact the homeowner that obtained a more traditional line of credit, interest only period, 5 or 10 years. Um, now you could argue maybe the rates actually come down a little bit, right? If the Fed lowers rates, they get an improvement there. My concern is that so many of these existing traditional HELOCs are going to come to term, meaning they're about ready to flip outside of their interest only period, become a fully amortizing loan anywhere between 20 and 25 years. Therefore, payment goes up. Everyone with me so far?
Yep.
Well, we are getting ready to roll out, Al, the ability to pay off existing second liens.
If you guys do that, then you'll be, I would say the only thing that separates you and Nifty is that.
Yeah.
And if you guys can figure that aspect of it out, there really would be, I mean, honestly, you'd probably put Nifty out of business because I mean, your guys' process is a lot smoother. I mean, I will say this. I mean, I don't know how it is, and you know, I'm just being real. I know that we've
Absolutely.
submitted you guys. We're probably flooding you with more business than you even expected. So I know you guys are staffing up for that. Overall process is still fast. Obviously, there's certain tweaks in certain areas where we can improve on for sure. But yeah, I think that would be a huge win. That way you guys would be more like a one-stop shop, because what happens here is people go to Figure. If it doesn't work at Figure, then they go to Nifty. They don't go to Nifty, then
Sure.
go to Figure. They go to Figure, then they
Right.
go to Nifty.
Right.
So
Right. Yeah, and that's fair. And by the way, it's as you know, and everyone on the call I'm sure is aware, we're a very digital process. It either works or it doesn't. Connect to this, connect to that, connect, and if it works and the data all comes together, great. And that also creates some, dare I say, issues, but it can create some concern. It's like, well, wait a minute, that doesn't belong to that, and that doesn't. In our system, that's what our data is pulling, and then we live by it, right? So we're continuing to enhance that and paying off existing second liens. Now, we already rolled out, and Al, I don't know if you've had any of these come across your desk yet, but we rolled out about 2 months ago the ability to pay off existing figure liens.
Yeah.
Now, they have to be 12 months or more seasoned, right? Which makes sense, just health of the industry. However, we're now getting ready to expand to other liens. And I just confirmed yesterday, we're going to have the ability, let's say that someone has only one lien and it's $75,000. We'll be able to pay off that one lien and replace it with the HELOC in first lien position.
Beautiful. Hey,
Why
whatever you guys can continue to do and make our job easy. I mean, I'm all for it. Like I'm a figure. Like I said, I promote figure. You see me on Instagram with my figure belt wrapped around my waist, around my shoulder. I got it posted in my office. Whatever you guys got to do to make it just to where it's like, figures definitely helped my family out a lot, paid a lot of my bills, made things pretty easy for me. So I'm in support, with whatever you guys got going on, positive or negative. I know that you guys are going through growing pains, but I try to be a positive advocate. I get it. But no, that sounds great.
Yeah, and by the way, I mentioned the first lien, paying off an existing first lien and replacing it with a HELOC in first lien position. And some folks on the call might say, well, why in the heck would you do that? I believe the use case there is small balance first lien loans. And the reason I mention that is because in the lending industry, certainly in wholesale, there is a compliance issue that rears its ugly head on lower balance loans, and that's high cost loan limits regarding the compensation and what accounts towards box one fees, if you will. So much so that a lot of lenders end up not doing the low balance loans because they virtually find themselves in a position to have to pay to close them. Well, keep in mind, in our product, we don't have to live in that box. And so that first lien, I just heard from a loan originator. In fact, we're going to get her on as a guest in a future webinar as well. But she just called me last week to say, Tim, I can't believe it. I just did a first lien HELOC for a client and the rate was in the sixes. Now, I got to tell you, cash out, depending on FICO and LTV and whatnot, that might be a hard number to hit from an agency perspective. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Have you looked at all recently, Al? Where are you seeing cash out rates roughly now?
Well, I'm a strategist. I'm more like if you're going to pull cash out, typically people pulling cash out typically are the low. So you got the lower FICO people pulling cash out because they have to, because they're in debt, right?
Yep.
So you got those people. I'm a strategist. So like when I do a cash out refinance, if there's enough equity, I like to go with a really high rate and do it at no cost and then flip them rate term in 6 months. That's what I do.
Yeah.
So normally I'm like cash out loans for no cost. We're looking like 6.99, 7.375 ish in that area.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah. Right in the low sevens is what I was, which is honestly, everybody, that's a great improvement. So there is opportunity there. And I know, Al, you may not know this, but your team is getting ready to roll out our piggyback product as well. And we'll talk about it next week when I'm out in your neck of the woods. But
okay,
one of the things that interests me about that is the refinance opportunity. Now, years ago, as an originator, this was not uncommon at all. Even when doing a refinance for a client, instead of just sticking with the cash out, we would take a look at and say, okay, a cash out rate is this, and with the loan level price adjustments and whatever. But what if we did a rate and term and added a HELOC to satisfy the cash needs of the borrower? The blended rate still ends up less. It's interesting to me. I actually looked up the loan level price adjustments about a month ago on this. The loan level price adjustments on cash out can get out of hand quickly, depending on FICO and LTV and so on and so forth. The loan level price adjustment for subordinate financing is 0.625. It doesn't matter if it's 70 or 90. That's the loan level price adjustment for subordinate financing. At least in the FICO grid I was looking at. So I thought that was really interesting. So I think there's an opportunity there, especially if someone bought their home 2 years ago, excuse me, two or 3 years ago, right? Maybe they have that 7.75% interest rate, banking on the fact that rates were going to come down, and they have right up until you do cash out. You see what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
so I think great use cases. Okay, so you briefly mentioned it, but I want to talk about it openly. Understanding how best to get support, not just for the LO, but also for the homeowner. Are you setting any expectation with the borrower regarding how they should first start if they have any issues or support?
Well, I like to set the precedence to make it. I mean, we're loan officers. I think we had a meeting where you guys kind of certain so we like to kind of do everything to make sure it just closes as fast as possible. So if there's even, I mean, I have a loan right now where it's sitting in, and I was going to actually have my assistant Danielle jump on this, but it's been sitting in generating closing disclose. Oh, I see conditions are needed. Okay. Anyways, so I like to just jump, I like to jump on it myself. So as far as the expectations go, I mean, we are in sales. So I always kind of allude to, hey, you know, we can get these closed in as little as 3 days. That's pretty much what I say. But if there is ever any issues, I like to jump on it myself, meaning I do like how we have the new conditions needed section so we can kind of see what's needed. But I don't like to have the client do a whole lot. I like to jump on the phone either with the client and just get it, you know, rectified myself with the client as soon as possible. So that's kind of my style. These loans generally close fast anyway. So we're in the refinance purchase world, we're used to 20 to 30 days.
Sure.
So, I mean, a long figure loan is like 10 days, you know, that's like a long process. So, but no, our thought process is any sort of issues, we like to jump on it immediately. I probably jump the gun a lot. Sometimes I'll submit a loan the next day. It's still in generating closing disclosure. I'll email you guys. You guys are like, well, you just submitted it yesterday, you know? So
Settle
I'll
down
try
now,
to,
right?
I'll try to pull back on that a little bit, but, yeah, we just like to jump on it ourselves. I think we're kind of conditioned to do that, just being
Well,
in sales.
let me ask the question like this. So when you're talking to the client, you're on the phone, maybe you've done the inquiry, they have an offer, you walk them through the process, you're going to hit proceed. And do you set the expectation with them right then and there? Like you're going to receive an email inviting you to click on a link, know that this is an all digital process. Do you let them know what that experience is going to look and feel like? Or do you immediately then invite them onto one of your share calls that you mentioned?
Oh, you're talking about when I'm closing a deal.
Yeah, when you're moving through,
Oh,
you've got offers.
yeah,
What, if anything, are you setting that expectation?
yeah, so our expectation, I have this set up with my assistants. As soon as we generate an offer, I don't just say, hey, here's your offer. That's it. No, I like try to get them on the computer and get it done. And I assume we're going to do it. Oh, okay, perfect. All right. Hey, you know, it looks like, and the funny thing, okay, so I'll kind of just tell a 30-second story, but I actually pulled out a figure loan because I'm at home right now. If I look directly ahead, there's a 800 square foot ADU outside of my backyard, which I'm using the figure loan to build. So I always use I use the analogy of, hey, you know, I got one of these loans. It was really easy to get. I'm paid 1099. So it's kind of hard to verify my income, but I'm using it to build wealth. I'm using it to build an ADU, which I'm going to eventually stick a renter in there and they're going to pay the bill for me. So it looks like you were approved for 11%. Okay, perfect. So the link was sent to you. Go ahead and hop on your computer. I'll walk you through. We'll go ahead and get it done. So I like to use the momentum of just getting it done right then and there versus, hey, you're going to get an email and then leave it up to chance. I don't do that.
Okay, I love the way you just laid that out, Al, because number one, what you're doing is using a very presumptive close approach, right? Like we're doing this, we're moving forward. You just got an email, click the link. I'm going to send you a code. Let's log into your computer and walk through this together. Right? You're not waiting. And this is an important note for so many on the call to really sit up and pay attention to, because it's very easy for us as originators to tell the borrower, hey, I just hit proceed. You're going to receive an email. You know, let me know if you have any issues, and then almost forget about it. Right? And not even go back in and take a look at the lead portal pipeline and realize that that initial inquiry is going to expire within 14 days if no action is taken by the borrower. Well, you're never up against that because you're literally moving just like this. Is that accurate?
Yeah, it's either yes or no. And it's just I don't know, it's a great product. It's a great product. It closes quickly. It's, a lot of it's an exciting product. So I speak as such.
Yeah.
I use the product myself. So if I'm going to use it, it's very easy for me to tell somebody to also use it. So I'm coming from a place of authenticity, I guess you could say.
Yeah, no, I love that. And what you're doing is you're really setting and controlling the narrative as to what the expectation is going to be. And you're really holding their hand through the entire process, it seems. I
Yep.
actually wasn't aware you were doing that's congratulations, Al. That's by the way, that's why you're doing what you're doing, right? Is you're that
Yeah.
engaged with the borrower. And by the way, let's switch gears just a little bit. Now I know you're building an ADU. I just saw you had a social media post, and I thought, oh my gosh, Al's building a new house somewhere. But is that the ADU that you had a video
That's
of?
my yeah, that's my ADU. Yep.
Yeah,
So
that's awesome. So what are your plans for that? Are you going to rent it out? Do you have family? What's the
yeah, I'm just gonna rent it out to family. I'm actually gonna pay it off. But I just wanted to use the loan for a little bit. But I'm actually gonna end up paying it off. And ADUs are one of the best. I forgot who I was having a conversation with, but they're one of the best investments right now. You get like a 1-to-1 return on the value of the house. Someone else pays the bill. It adds square footage to the house, so obviously the entire
Sure.
value of the house goes up. So I have a huge backyard. I just had like empty space sitting there. I'm just like, yeah, why don't I just build wealth? So
And I love that. And by the way, for everyone on the webinar here, this is a big topic for us. Al is in Southern California. I'm in Northern California, but ADU is a huge topic. Would you agree, Al? Like, do you
huge
get a lot?
topic.
Yeah, I mean, because to the best of my knowledge, the gloves are off. The rules are wide open now. Virtually anybody can add an ADU. Is that accurate?
A lot easier than it used to be. It's becoming a lot more common. But especially in California, real estate's
Yeah.
absurd. It's absurd out here. So
Well,
if you can
affordability is a real issue, right?
affordability is an issue. So if you can build an ADU, it's like the best. I'm just trying to play real life Monopoly out here. So that's what I'm doing right now.
He's playing real life Monopoly. I love that.
That's what I'm
Um,
doing.
Reef, have you been looking at the questions at all?
Yeah, I was leaving for us to touch on.
Yeah, well, I kind of want to I kind of want to dive into them because Al can certainly help answer some of these questions for us, if you don't mind, Al. And again, from a street level perspective, I love this. And by the way, before we get to questions, I just have to give a shout out here. And Al, I'm sure you know him, but um, love this guy to death. But Jeremy Forcier just texted me and said, "Hey man, I'm on your webinar. Congratulations on everything you guys are doing." So, Jay Force, man, thanks for being on the call if you're still there, and thanks for the nice note. That guy just knocks it out of the park when it comes to service, man. Love that guy. Anyway, so what do we got here, Reef? You're muted, Reef.
Sorry.
There you go.
Sorry about that. One of the questions was if we do properties on trust.
And we do. And they have to be revocable trusts. And Al, what, if anything, do you do to help set that stage or help your borrower through that when it comes to trust? In other words, I commonly suggest or recommend to loan originators that even before they hit the proceed button where the email goes to the borrower to accept the offer, that they take a couple minutes, if they have the ability, and pull a property profile and just check and see how ownership is currently held. Do you guys go down that path at all, or do you just let the borrower rip with it?
So I kind of let the bar rip with it. I just enter the information honestly. Is the property in a trust? Okay, put that it's in a trust, and then I
Yes.
just wait for Figure to let me know what we need. That's
Okay.
how I do it.
Great.
Yeah.
And by the way, so that everyone knows, we would need a certificate of trust for that, and not the full trust. I want to be clear on this. For those of you that don't know, we don't have underwriters. So there is not someone really reviewing a full trust or a legal firm or anything of that nature. But most everybody has a certificate of trust, and that's what we use to clear the condition. What's up on deck next, Reef?
So quick assist, just a little question from an anonymous attendee. They just wanted to know if they have to have it installed themselves as well as the client, or is it just one or the other?
You just need to have a Windows computer. So if you have a Windows computer, it is built already into the Windows computer. You literally just go in on mine, it's the bottom left corner. It says type here to search. Sometimes it might say search. You just type in, I literally say this to borrower, go to the bottom left corner, type in the word quick, Quick, space, assist. And then you're going to see a icon that pops up. It says quick assist app. It'll look like two blue monitors, kind of like a bit of an icon. Go ahead and click on that. And it might ask you to download it, but 60, 70% of the time it's already downloaded, and you just wait for me to give you the code. Have to have a Windows computer, won't work on a Mac.
Yeah, there you have it. And I'm on a Mac. I love this next question. He actually briefly appeared on our screen and he's since disappeared, I'm sure, to another meeting. But Al, our very good friend and our VP of lending, Mr. Anthony Stratus, jumped on the call briefly. And I love this question. So Al, what type of championship belt is best?
Anthony's cool. Anthony's a cool guy. I feel like it's I don't know. It's like a WWF belt. It's like an authentic WWF belt. It's heavy.
That's right.
It's legit. It's as legit as I can get. I bought it. Like I said, I bought like a little. It's on. If you go to my office, it's on the wall. It's right there.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I'll be there next week. I'm going to go check it out. And I
Cool.
love this one. Lori asked, can we pay off debt in the application to get the DTI to be approved? That's always been my problem in the past with Figure. So Lori, yes, it's actually a relatively newer enhancement. If you haven't been in there, I'll walk everyone through here kind of the transition that we've made. One, we first released the ability to pay off debts, and we would give DTI credit to personal loans, auto loans, and home improvement loans that might pop up. And at the time, we were capping it at 3 debts to lower DTI. And we were choosing those 3 debts or giving them to you to choose based on estimated highest APR, therefore thinking it drops the payment enough to therefore qualify. We then added the ability to give DTI credit to credit card accounts. Now, when we did that, we actually ended up, I don't want to say causing a problem, but a problem arose. And that was, remember, our system at the time was set for 3 liabilities to receive DTI credit and based on the highest APR. Well, when we then opened up DTI for credit cards, well, guess what? Only 3 credit cards were the ones popping up because they, of course, had the highest APR, and therefore it may still not qualify. Well, I am happy to report that, I don't know, Alex, was it about 2 weeks ago, maybe?
2 weeks ago, in fact.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago, we made an enhancement where there is no longer a cap on 3 liabilities to pay off and receive DTI credit for. Now, you do need to have a 680 or higher to receive DTI lift for credit cards. Okay, only the credit cards. Everything else you can get DTI lift for, even all the way down to a 640. And the reason for that is, everybody, just so you know the why, is remember, we don't have escrow. So we don't have someone ordering payoff demands. We don't have a way of closing said credit card accounts. Installment loans will, of course, close automatically. We all know the magic there. So that's why. But yes, Lori, dig back in. In fact, if some of those clients did not receive offers and you did not find a different strategy for them, go visit your pipeline and tap back into that. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. Oh, and I love this question. Are we doing anything about the 10 to 20 minute wait time before getting help with an agent?
Yeah,
Yes.
that's big.
Yeah. By the way, I'll jokingly say 10 to 20 minutes. Congratulations. You're on fire. That seems very fast. No, I'm just kidding. Yes, is the answer to that. We are taking steps on that. And I will just share with everyone the first path always is set the expectation with your borrower that if they're running into a snag, have the borrower use the chat. Now, they're the only ones that have it on their portal. You don't have it as a loan originator, but the borrower does. Most of the time, chat literally within just a few minutes can get the issue or concern or question answered or resolved, whatever the case might be. Now, regarding the LO support line, yes, sometimes you'll call, it's 2 minutes. Great. Sometimes it's 10 or 20 to your point here on the question. Just know we are focused on improving that. Reeve, do you have anything you want to add on to that at all?
We're just working toward it. We're gonna keep buffering our support as more and more volume comes in. We're gonna keep buffering that with support, and eventually, hopefully, we will have a chat feature available for loan originators, and that will exponentially help with the wait times.
Just out of curiosity, I'll just ask real quick, is the wait times, is it attributed just to just sheer growth? Like you guys just have too much?
It really is, Al.
Okay,
And here's how we're approaching it. One, we've already added another team. In fact, they have they're on the floor now, to use that term, working it, and we're continuing to add. The second part of this, however, though, is I will tell you that the engineers, the product team, everyone behind the scenes, we're leaning on this from a perspective of, let's find a way for you not to have to call in. And what do I mean by that? Let's continue to build more transparency into the lead portal. In other words, my team and I, we've talked to this with the engineers. Wouldn't it be cool if you could drag your cursor over the milestones or the status, and a definition bubble would pop up? You see what I mean? And say, here's what this means, versus having to go look it up on your resources and that type of deal. How awesome would it be? And we will get to this point, by the way, because we are committed to getting this done. How awesome would it be is if a borrower was emailed from our team saying, hey, we need this, that the LO also receives said email. You see, I believe to my core that the minute we get the loan originator involved, we could actually speed up the process.
nice.
Which Al, I think you're a perfect example of that. The reason why you're having so much success with this is because you're so engaged, literally from the point of inquiry through, right? So yes, it is getting better. By the way, it's already gotten a lot better, and we're committed to making it even better.
Nice.
What else we got here, Reef?
The 12-month figure payoff, is it based off of the recording date, or would they need to run another app to kind of find out? It is off of the recording date, and you can run the app whenever you're ready.
And they would see it show up as an existing lien, and then like the other debt payoff, it would be a debt listed that they could pay off. And then again, gosh, later this month, we're going to see other existing second liens also fall into that bucket. And that we don't have any control over. A 12-month cap. We don't. That is what it is.
They're asking about being CC'd on emails.
And that's what I just mentioned, right? Yes. And yes, the answer. And that's my friend Joanna. Love that question. I'll see you next week, Joanna.
I have a question. Just my team's asking me this, if you guys don't mind.
Go for it.
Will you guys ever be doing all states?
Well, Alex, what states are we not in now? Like we're, in fact, did we just
it depends on your partnership. I do want to throw that out there for all of those on the call. Us Figure, we are not in West Virginia and Hawaii. However, number one, West Virginia coming very, very soon.
Very soon.
Two, yeah. Hawaii also coming very, very soon. So very soon, Figure is going to be in every state of the country. And that is literally going to be coming in like a month or two, hopefully, with West Virginia. Looks like it's close. Check your partnership type though, because depending on your organization, it also depends on the overlay if your organization is licensed in those states, as well as obviously if you're licensed in that state as well. So very soon we can do whatever we want, wherever we want.
Okay, awesome. And then one other question. You should mention, so Nifty will go down to 630 FICO with a low loan to value. Do you guys ever have the foresight of maybe lowering the FICO requirement?
I'm not sure on that, Alan. You might remember a time where we were actually 620. And then we bumped it up. And so I think a lot of that comes down to investor appetite, that type of deal. And so I've not heard anything, unless Al or Alex or Reef, if you guys have heard anything, but I've not heard any conversation on our end about, again, lowering the FICO.
No, I haven't heard anything.
And then we have an anonymous attendee basically indicating that everything goes great, 3-day rescission, but after the 3-day rescission, it takes an additional 7 days to fund. Is that typical? No, that is not typical. However, we did change the workflow here a little bit with some vendors and whatnot, and there was a time and period, and I believe we've moved well past this. Alex, Reef, keep me honest here, but that has been resolved or solved for. Now, it is important to know that 3 days rescissions go by, the loan funds, and it is not a check. It is an ACH transaction into the borrower's account they chose at the application. So is that a conversation you have with your clients, Al? Like, okay, the loan is funded, so now here's what you can expect as to when you'll see the funds?
Not really, no. I don't really have that conversation.
No, doesn't
No.
really, it hasn't been too much of an impact for you. So
Mm-mm.
the reason I bring it up is that ACH transaction, depending on the banking institution, could take a couple of days. Reef, is that how you would address that? I know
I've
that.
had that issue ever. It's not a big deal. Like I don't really like out of 100 loans, maybe like 2 people are like, "Where are the funds?" You know. So it's not.
Yeah,
Can I also shed some clarity on this as well? Because I see this in the question, and I've seen this before. So we have the 3-day rescission period if it's primary, secondary investment, we don't. Just to Tim's point, after that we fund via ACH, so it can take a couple days for the funds to be available. It's all automated. So again, they'll get that in a couple days. However, to the point of the question in here, and this is something I'll get a lot, recording happens after funding. There is no definite period of time of how long recording takes because it's up to the county. Sometimes it's days, sometimes it's months. You don't have to worry about that. That's our team handling that. So it is something where, again, once rescission's done, if there is rescission, they'll be funded. That's all the borrower has to worry about. In a couple days, their account's going to update to an in repay with servicing. So it's all going to be taken care of. But if you see that it's in recording for months or weeks or whatever, don't worry about that. Because again, we're handling that with the county via our own teams. And then once that recording is then complete, then it transfers over to complete.
Yeah, it's actually a great point, Alex. I'm glad you brought that up because sometimes we'll get that phone call. It's like, hey, when's my loan going to fund? I see it's in recording status. Well, it already funded. So for us, it's a little bit opposite, right? We fund the loans and then send it out for recording at that point. So hopefully that helped. What's up next, Mr. Reef?
Yeah, so let's see. We're at a decline question. I want to kind of have them funnel that to sales success at figure so we can kind of look at the file and make sure there's not anything missing there.
Is that the question with Nancy regarding
Yeah.
how long someone needs to be on the deed?
Well, it's husband got declined due to credit, wife is not on the deed. So if husband got declined, is it just a credit? It could be other factors. And if wife is not on the ownership title, there is a 90-day seasoning, of course. But sometimes there are individuals that get the mortgage and the title confused. So if they're not on the mortgage, that's okay if they are still on the ownership deed, the actual title. So email us. That email is in the chat. I think Alex sent it. Email it to us. We'll take a look at that file specifically for you.
But the borrower does need to be on title for at least 90 days.
Correct. Post county recording. Another question from Nancy about conditions. How long does it take from when a condition is fulfilled before they can proceed forward? It's all dependent. The most engaged individuals will get to push their files quicker. Al says he is always calling in, checking on his files. That's going to be your way. Better yet, if you can have your applicant, if they're tech savvy, use the chat feature, they can push their files forward a lot quicker as well. So keep that in mind. Question from Paige. Tim, this one's probably for you. So is there a way to get the signing date info added to the details tab, probably in lead portal, so they can have a better understanding of when the signing is going to occur, et cetera?
The answer, Paige, is yes. In fact, this has also been a big ask, and we are working on it to where you would see when notary was scheduled, and that would be date stamped, and then as well have that information. And we're working on that now. In fact, I was on a call and brought that up just earlier today. So keep looking for those future enhancements. They are coming. And so, yeah, we're trying to improve. That goes back to the transparency topic that I mentioned earlier.
I have a quick question. I know there's been some mentions of this. Is a DSCR product possibility?
DSCR?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a possibility. In fact, I've already reviewed the guidelines.
Okay.
With us, we are building it. And so I want to be careful to set the right expectation. I think it's going to come probably in Mayish. If I had to guess, we're building it out right now. We will be testing it. In fact, Al, we're working closely with some folks on your all's team, getting some feedback. But yes, we are building a DSCR product.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Oh, and Rich says, why doesn't Figure fix the AI problems in the system? And here's a great example. Recent decline due to client not using his credit in the last 6 months, 800 FICO. not using his credit in the last 6 months. That's interesting.
Sometimes if there's inactivity on a credit profile, it will render a inaccessible FICO. So that's from Experian. We specifically use the FICO 9. So keep that in mind. It's not something that we dictate. It's something that comes from Experian. So if their credit is inaccessible, or they haven't used it at all in 6 months, it could generate a decline due to that.
And
Also-
then,
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
oh,
Tim.
go ahead, Alex, sorry.
I was just going to say, I'm going to be really pedantic here, just so you're all aware. We do use AI in certain areas, but not necessarily for, like, say, the underwriting. So to Reef's point, what's happening is Experian is providing the data into the system. The data is then doing the calculations, like a calculator almost. So that would, anything that it comes down to, like the FICO score and stuff, would be reported from Experian. I will say, again, that's what's strong about that inquiry tool, is you're going to find out this information literally in a minute or two. So if there are no offers, that is absolutely something Tim will say a lot, is okay, then you can strategize to something else.
Yep.
But just, that's why I say, if you're a partnership with like a referral link, I always encourage the inquiry tool first.
Yeah, and then same question here, or along with the same question. Also, AVM seem to have low values. Al, are you experiencing that too much? And if so, what if any workaround do you have for that?
Not really. I don't really, I mean, every now and then you'll get a couple low values, but I mean, typically the values are in line. I'm not saying Zillow's accurate or Redfin's accurate, but I mean, they're reasonable. It's not like you'll have Zillow at like 800 and Figure will show it at 6, you know?
There
It's
has been some discussion that I'll share with everyone, that should we add the ability to challenge an AVM? And I will share with everyone my opinion. I actually think that's could be risky. And what I mean by that is okay, I get an AVM for 600,000 and I think it's 750. Well, what if all of a sudden we do a drive-by and it comes in at 550? Well, guess what number we're now going to live with? You see what I mean? So we've all in the industry seen it go both ways, where that homeowner or the realtor or whatever the case is says, oh my gosh, my house is worth way more than that. Well, maybe, you know, so we'll see. I'm on the fence whether or not that would be a good enhancement or not, but it has been part of conversations that the team is having. Oh, I love this. I have a borrower that needs a HELOC loan, but I'm new to HELOCs. I need guidelines with should I connect? Alex or Reef, did you put our team email in the chat?
Yes, so that's going to be salessuccess@figure.com, and I'm going to be sending out an email to all of those in attendance. It's going to have some great information, as well as it's going to have resource links for documentation and more.
Fantastic. David then asks, had a client apply and their offer was not as high as they were looking for. He put in a request to have it go up. David, I'd be interested in looking into that same file. So if you want to reach into our team, maybe there was a way to massage it different from an income perspective strategy, something of that nature. I don't know, did that client close it at a lower amount and then reach out and ask for it to be increased? That I'm not sure how that would work either, but love to dive in a little bit more about that. Oh, Dawn, great question. Who can assist with ID validation issues? Many times, one, I want to ask you, Al, how, well, again, you're sharing that you're in with the screens on the borrowers. How are you advising your borrowers to get their IDs to pass?
I actually will, I'll like take a photo of the back of like my ID. I'll just send them an example. I'll just say, hey, take your photo like this. Usually I can kind of judge if the ID is going to work or not. Like if they send it, I'm like, yeah, that's not going to work. So obviously all four corners have to show. You can't have glares in it really. But usually if they take the photo, they send it, they can't somehow, or they'll take it at like a weird angle, not like directly on top. So what I do is I just send it, I'll just take a picture. Like I have like right in front, I have like, you know, cards right here. I'll just take a photo of a card and give it and send them an example and say, take it like this. One thing that one issue that I've been having though, mostly is the additional signer part. Like I feel like there's a section where like the ID will get rejected because it'll default to the, you know what I'm talking about?
I do.
So
and
that's my issue.
Yeah, let me see if I can help kind of paint the picture there. So what Al just talked about, and Al, you're spot on about that. So one, let me just say the fact that you're taking a sample photo of something and providing it to your borrower to say, here's what it should look like for your ID. That's huge, dude. I love that. That's a great way to show the borrower how to best take a picture of that ID. The second part of this is, Al, you're exactly right. And I want to give Reef on the call here some credit because he identified this and has already taken it up with the engineers behind the scenes. We discovered, and Reef, you can update us on this if there's any more news, but what we discovered is let's say the borrower's ID passed. Then they get to the point where they add the additional signer. Well, for one reason or another, if they upload the ID in the borrower's portal, it basically declines and kicks out because it's being uploaded as though it was the borrowers, not the additional signers. Did I explain that right, Reef?
Yeah, for the most part, essentially there was a misalignment between what an LO is uploading for a condition and what's happening on the actual application. So we're working to get that figured out, especially when there's more than one signer. Traditionally, you may see just one signer, the primary applicant, or they maybe their spouse, but sometimes you might have 4, 5, 6, 7 different signers. So it does get kind of confusing. And if it's not all aligned perfectly, the application won't close. So we're working to get that kind of hashed out. No updates at this time, but we are working on it.
Yeah, and so it is a very good point. By the way, on that, it's important to note that when a borrower, again, setting the right expectation, you can let your borrowers know that once their ID has passed, there's no need to upload the additional signer's ID yet. They add the additional signer. When they add the additional signer, it will have the additional signer's name, phone number, and email. The additional signer will receive an email to upload their ID. Keep me honest here, Reef, but I believe I'm on track. So it's at that point that they upload the additional signer ID. So I know that seems a little bit of a tweak there, and we are working on deciphering that, like even in the conditions portal showing borrower ID needed or additional signer ID needed. So
It's really a learning process, and as Al knows, because Al definitely has grown a lot to understanding exactly what the system is looking for. It's a different system, right? And if it was a person that was looking at this, it'd be a different conversation. It's a software, so people kind of get their own little tricks and stuff as they use it more and more, and you kind of understand what the system's looking for. Like Dave here said, when you put a small white piece of paper behind the ID, specifically for one in Florida, Arizona probably would fit this bill as well, because those are the two states that are probably the hardest to get verified. You have better luck. So things like that, it just comes with a little bit of time.
yeah, that's fantastic. And so you already addressed Dave's comment there. And by the way, I want to get to this and then we'll wrap it up for the day. But Bobby asked the question, had a few involuntary liens on files that showed up. And Al, I don't know if you've seen this. I'm guessing you have, where you'll run an inquiry and it may reflect a lien on the property that in fact has been paid and released in some cases years ago. Have you run into that at all, Al?
I haven't. I haven't.
Well, good. I will tell you that it does come up, and I am happy to report. And Al, you'll remember when this screen used to exist, but we are bringing back the lien attestation page, where when there's a mismatch of liens, it will give you, the loan originator, the ability to correctly indicate which lien belongs to what. So that is going to be, I think we're slated for the 10th of this month. So keep an eye on that, Bobby and everyone else. Well, listen, I know we're right at time. Al, I can't thank you enough, my friend. Really,
Appreciate you.
we added you kind of at the over the last day or two, so I really appreciate you jumping on. I hope everybody gets some idea and understanding of how Al's making this work for him. I think the biggest takeaway for me, which doesn't surprise me, is how engaged Al is in finding ways to navigate holding the hand of his borrowers through the process right at point of doing the inquiry. So Al, congratulations, man. That's huge.
Yeah, no worries. I appreciate you guys for having me.
Yep. Listen, sales success at figure.com, tips, tricks, best practices, strategies. Love having those conversations. Again, everybody, thank you. Any last words, Alex, Reef?
Appreciate
Go out there, be successful. Let us know if you need anything.
You got it. Have a great rest of your week,
All
everybody.
right. All right.
See
Bye.
you.
See ya.